I've been keeping up with Kris Kristofferson's team on Instagram. They've been reposting tributes from stars like Dolly, Tim McGraw, Miranda Lambert. I like to imagine it's his kids or wife, just soaking up the love and warm thoughts during a very difficult week. Sure, Kris was 88 years old, so maybe death brought him a peace that evaded his grasp in his later years. But wife Lisa just lost her husband of 41 years. Their 5 kids, plus his 3 with his first 2 wives, lost a father. This sting's going to hurt for months, if not years. That's Eric Church rehearsing with Kris. He shared the video and a tribute upon learning the news on Sunday. Quote, "Thank you for being a beacon of light in a darkening world. You were my hero and my role model." Chief closes with, "So long, Captain, till we meet again." That's a reference to both Kristofferson's rank in the Army and his industry nickname. You see Eric and his wife Catherine on the right, their 2 other kids with Kris, and his wife Lisa Meyers. If you ever saw Kris in public since about 2000, Lisa was always nearby. She was his rock and sometimes his memory, and this video is going to explore that as well as their bumpy path to their 41-year marriage. Would you believe me if I told you it all began with a cheesy pickup line at the gym? No joke. He asked if he could borrow a piece of workout equipment, later admitting it was kind of a ploy. It worked, perhaps better than he intended. Quote, "At the time, I was gun-shy about any relationship heavier than a one-night stand," he told People. "But as my family started getting bigger, it finally beat its way into my consciousness. Wake up, man. This is what really matters." They married in February 1983 and by October welcomed their first son, Jesse. Don't you go on mathing now, it's none of your business. Son Jody would follow in 1985, Johnny in 1988, then daughter Kelly in 1990, and finally Blake in 1994 when the songwriter was 58 years old. Woof, bath time at age 58 sounds miserable. But in some ways it was payback because Kris wasn't the best husband the first 2 times around. Alcohol abuse and womanizing helped in marriages to his high school sweetheart, with whom he has 2 kids, and singer Rita Coolidge, 1 kid. He admitted he dated Barbra Streisand in 1970, and that same year he dated Janis Joplin, who'd take me and Bobby McGee to #1 and really solidify him as a premier songwriter. We did a full video on the moment his life turned around that you can find in the description section below. It's pretty powerful. But all of this added to why Kris didn't want to rush back into marriage. He wanted to focus on his kids for once. Luckily, he got to have it all. They lived in Hawaii, and for the most part, life wasn't that bad. Until about 1999. That's when Kris had bypass surgery, but he came out okay. The real problem came in 2006, and I want you to pay attention to this moment. Who knows? It could really affect your life down the road one day. After filming a movie called Disappearances, Kris was diagnosed with moderate to severe sleep apnea. Not a huge deal, or at least not what led to years of health battles as far as we know. Around the time he was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, which would cause so much pain that he was unable to work for months at a time. Today did a great story on this, quoting Lisa as she describes, quote, "massive painful spasms all over his back and legs, golf ball-sized painful contractions, and pain throughout his knees. He would also need a pacemaker. Kris was struggling." Then, around 2006 or 2008, his memory started to slip. Growing up, Kris played football and rugby, sports that put someone at risk for brain injuries. Doctors diagnosed him with Alzheimer's and began treatment which caused all sorts of side effects. He even wrote an unrecorded song about it that included lyrics like, "I see a glass of wine, I'm pretty sure it's mine." The cascade of intervention was in full swing here. Years passed when Lisa finally got Kris another doctor who really looked at those contractions and spasms, and he said, quote, "He's got Lyme disease." This was an empathy, and Rolling Stone did a great piece on it in 2016. Once they stopped with Alzheimer's meds, quote, "all of a sudden, he was back." They think he might have gotten it from a tick bite back when he was filming that movie Disappearances. Don't go searching for the film. It barely got released and was mostly panned. Lisa says it may have come years before, but the point is she didn't accept it was just Alzheimer's or CTE or old age. This isn't to say he was pinpoint sharp for the next 8 years. If Kris was in a room, Lisa was always nearby, and she often filled in the gaps he left open. It was a pretty special relationship. Officially, we don't know for sure how Kris died. The family statement just said he went peacefully, surrounded by family on September 28th. I hope that's true, and for everyone else's sake. I'm Addison Hager for Taste of Country. Thanks for watching, and as always, thanks for subscribing.